Good morning and welcome to Grow Beautiful Flavor. This morning we wanted to show you a little part of our yard that might not be typical, but that's okay because it's special to us. As you can see, our kids enjoy this area of our yard very much, and that's really only because of one special reason, is it's usually packed with butterflies. Now, we've learned this when we were in Illinois. We had planted our garden, and then on the very edge we planted a strip of zinnias just around our garden, just to make it pretty. Was really why I started it. But as we did that, after we did that, we realized that it really attracts all the butterflies, and the butterflies just flock to the zinnias. So this year we have along this window here, there were boxwood bushes, and they were pretty, but the window was filthy. And when we were inside looking out the window, all you could see was green. It looked kind of gross. So my husband and I were talking, and I tried so hard to clean it, but it wasn't possible. I just couldn't they were so overgrown, I couldn't get back to it. So my husband and I were talking, and we decided that I would go ahead and cut all the boxwood bushes down. As sad as that may be, because as beautiful as they were just too overgrown for the space. So I took them out, and then this patch right in here, it was actually just grass. So we have the yard, and then the front yard, and then a sidewalk, and then another little patch of grass, maybe 4 foot or so wide. And we had to mow it too, which you couldn't get a riding lawnmower in it. You had to push mow it or weed eat it. So instead of last year we mowed it, but every time I mowed it I thought it looked weird, and every time I looked at it I thought it looked weird. So what we decided to do was I tilled this area up, and I planted our zinnias here. When we planted this, since we do free range our chickens, we had to put a little fence around the edge of it just to keep the chickens from coming in and scratching out all the new plants. Once the plants are grown, the chickens don't seem to bother them too much. So today we're gonna go ahead and take the fence down and do some weeding, and I'll show you what else we have growing in here. Do you guys want to help me get this out? And now that we have the fence down, we're just going to take some time and get some weeding done.
Hey guys, so right now I'm showing you some of the animals we got. So here's our cat. Say hi, kitty. Hi. It's a long hair, as you can probably see right now. Don't know if you guys can see this. It's shedding. And it's not fun to hold when it's shedding. Oh, I don't know if my mom's told you guys this yet, but my name's Simon. My little sister's named Cece. You can tell about it's her because she's smaller than me and she has long hair. And then, yeah. And I'm trying to do this before my mom gets back out here because my mom's saying my little sister for me.
as we're going through and weeding, we're just collecting seeds. There's several seed pods that have dried out already, even though it's just the beginning of July, and we're just going and collecting those seeds so we can have them for when we can plant later. I've enjoyed having this bed just packed with little tidbits of beans and flowers. Last year it was just grass and I had to mow it, so this has been a good change this year, but it takes a little weeding here and there. One thing we have along here, we have some lima beans and black-eyed Susans. I have tried to grow black-eyed Susans for a very long time. I actually started them in Illinois trying to grow them, and I never could get them to germinate. So when we came here, I tried them. I figured I'd give them one more chance, and what do you know, they actually germinated for me. It actually took me a few months before I was confident that they really had germinated. I knew something was growing where I planted them, but I just wasn't confident that they were actually growing for me, because I'd had such a difficult time in the past trying to get them to grow. I was a little bit in denial. But, you know, that's where you'll hear me say it, but I continue to go back to this statement that I was told one time. You know, gardening is an experiment. So just keep trying and see what works. And that's exactly proof of the black-eyed Susans for me. Just going through here and getting the weeds taken care of, knocked down a bit, and I just love seeing these zinnias, although they're in my face right now. We enjoy growing these zinnias because we can cut them off and put them on our table, and they will last you know, close to 2 weeks really, before they really need to be thrown out and put back in the compost pile. But you know, it's something that our family isn't allergic to or anything like that, so it's a good flower for us to have something pretty on our table. So you know, I grow it because of that, but also our kids are super excited for us to grow them every year, just for the factor of having butterflies coming in all the time. They really enjoy love to see the butterflies. You know, these gardens like these are not typical. Typically in your front yard, you have something that's very, you know, very structured and just maybe looks like it's well thought out. This was thought out, but you know, it might not look thought out to an average person driving by. But this is something we've actually gotten several comments on from people as they've drove by, and they'll be like, they'll say, "Oh, we love seeing all your azaleas," or I keep calling them azaleas. "We love seeing all your zinnias," and you know, that really does a lot of good for our heart, because it's a flower that we've always loved to grow as our family. We don't have a whole lot of area for anything, so we really have to maximize our space. We have a little less than an acre. I believe it is 0.88 of an acre. So, you know, when you have a yard like that, you really got to maximize on your space. One thing that I have done recently, within this past year, at least, within the past 6 months, I'd say, is plant fruit trees. And, you know, most people, you would have a nice little patch in their backyard for the fruit trees. Oh no, ours are in our front yard. You know, hello kitty. You know, just because everybody does it a certain way doesn't mean that's how it has to be. So, you know, sometimes I like to be different, and that's one of those things I saw to be able to maximize our yard. So we actually planted our fruit trees in our front yard. Now there is a power line that goes directly above it, well, directly above most of them. But I actually thought about that, and we either got dwarf or semi-dwarf based upon how close it was to the power line. So we should be good there. I don't, you know, I do know some linemen. I don't want to be a problem for them, but at the same time, I want to maximize our yard as much as we possibly can. So, best of both worlds, we get fruit trees in our front yard. And I believe that does it. We have this front bed all weeded, for the most part. Might not be 100% perfect, but it's pretty close. So, now let me go ahead and show you what all we have growing in here. Like I said, it is the very front of our house. So, you can see the road is so close right here. And it's there's really quite a bit of traffic on. So, to have something like this, you know, like I said, isn't exactly normal maybe, but it looks decent and we grow a lot of things. So, here right next to the house, we have lima beans, and as you go on down, you can see we have some kale, the cabbage moss, they're the worms part of them. Those have riddled the leaves quite heavily, but we've gotten a lot of really good leaves off of them. Even here within the past week, we got a lot of good leaves off of them, and to make our kale soup, or our beef and kale soup. But here are our black-eyed Susans right along with them. You know, just intermingling this stuff, you know, people don't even realize that there's vegetables growing in here. When people are driving by, really all they see is all the flowers. So, you know, that shows me that they just see the beauty of it. And but you know, for our family, we see the beauty and how good it tastes. So here in the corner we have some sage growing. We have some intermingled flowers. I have tied these azaleas up. I'll let them go here in a little bit after I just tied them up real loosely to so that I can kind of work around them. But as we move on down, there's a huge dill that's growing here, and that probably should be cut down as far as looks wise. I haven't decided if I want to get rid of it or not, but for now it's growing. We have some marigolds in here. Right in this space here, we had a bunch of onions growing that we just pulled a couple of weeks ago. We have some snapdragons that are about done blooming. We'll see if they'll start back again after all this heat. Let's see here. We got some beans intermixed in here, some extra flowers growing in here. We did have some, I believe it's called rose moss or moss rose. I always called it rose moss as a kid, and then I thought I looked it up somewhere and it said it was not. It was called something close to that, but not exactly. So I need to look that up again to see what it's called. There again, some more sage towards the back. And we have a bunch of a bunch of basil here in the middle that I need to do something with. But, and then as you can see back in here, the cat is hiding out. I don't know if you can see them back there. Yep, there we go. Instead of putting our sweet potatoes in water and sprouting them that way, I've had a pot with some dirt that was growing nothing. So I put them in the dirt, and then I have just been breaking them off. I've just been breaking them off here, and then I'll plant them in the back garden, just so we can grow sweet potatoes, and they really seem to be doing pretty well. So we'll see how that goes here after a few months to see how they grow. So I told you that I had fruit trees, and yes, here they are in the front. We have some pears, 2 pears, and 2 apples. I did have a peach tree that I had started from a seed, and we had a lot of hot and dry weather that they did not do well. It was very hard for a lot of plants, and the peach tree was no exception. Okay, now that I have those plants in, I'm gonna just untie those zinnias and water them in real good, the plants that we just transplanted, and we'll call it a day. And there we have it. Our front bed is finally weeded and ready to grow some more. Everything is looking good right now. Just watered it in after we transplanted a few things. So join us next time on Grow Beautiful Flavor. We'll see you later.